How has the controversy over the 55-feet Hindu statue impacted the Conservative Party image and polling numbers?
Not much, I'd say. I mean, most of the online stuff, yes, there's some people, you could say, more general conservative sphere, like the True North people, Candace Malcolm, Harrison Faulkner, who you could, and again, they're not political party, conservative party members, but I would classify them as more, inside the conservative mainstream, who have problems with it. But most of the online outrage comes from, people more associated with the PPC, you would say. Will the liberals and left be able to capitalize on this and say, look, the right wing is anti-Hindu and pull the same scare tactic? To a certain extent, I do think they might be able to pull a few people and use this as a giant political scaremonger. But I don't think ultimately it will move the needle too much because, again, polling numbers right now is sort of a fleeting thing. Like if this, if this somehow spirals through a series of cataclysmic disasters and coincidences into like a full-blown anti-Hindu race riot, well, yeah, then you'll see significant movement on this, and rightfully so. But some people on the right criticizing a 55-foot statue versus the people on the left actively enabling, Khalistani mobs harassing Hindu temples. So I think a lot of the Hindus who are sort of aware of what the problems are vis-a-vis the Khalistanis and the communists will still vote conservative. And I think those Hindus who are already primed to be more liberal and want to sort of maintain the image that the political left is a bastion of security for all minorities. If you're primed to believe this anyway, I think you'll use this as a confirmation bias to say, oh yes, look, the right really does hate us and this and that. Ultimately, I don't think it moves the needle much on a grand scheme. Like again, if there is a conservative who has a heavy Hindu writing and really says some dumb things, yeah, he could lose a seat over this. But again, with an election late in 2025, the rate in which we have scandals these days, within 2 weeks, no one will be talking about the statue. We'll be talking about the next dumb thing that someone did that we can't, talk about normally. And then, Donald Trump will come back on Twitter and then he'll say crazy things. Then he'll get kicked off Twitter and then he'll come back and then he'll start his own new thing. And he'll be like, didn't you have True Social? He's like, I got a new, even better platform. It's the best platform. You haven't seen a platform like this. What a big platform. Oh my God, it's great. And then we'll be freaking out about that. And then, someone will sneeze and we'll say, should we lock down the entire world? And the statue will be, it might as well have gone up 10,000 years ago in the modern world.
So you think it will not affect Conservative Party in long-term perspective at all?
No, because again, like I don't think anyone in the party is really taking a shot at it. So there's no links to really the establishment, like Conservative Party who's against this. I think you'll also see a lot of conservative voices who are going to be for this. I mean, the National Post again, which is like considered the right wing outlet, has already like put out a big like pro statue thing. And listen, I get it. Like the thing that people are criticizing, and we said this at the beginning with the sort of Trump being disqualified, it's the perception of the two-tiered society. And it's not the fault of the Hindus, but there is a perception of why is my culture being torn down? Like the Sir John A. Macdonald stuff, right? We have this big freak out over statues here in the West. Started mostly, the big kickoff in the Trump times, like the Charlottesville, right? You had those the stories about the Confederate statues coming down, and people argued if we take down these statues, eventually will lead to George Washington. People said that was ridiculous, but then immediately in Canada, people started taking down the Sir John A. Macdonald statues. We went to the absolute extreme. And people, I think, rightfully feel that Canadian culture is under attack from the establishment, and that's a legitimate feeling, and I feel it too. And then people see, oh look, their culture, 55-foot statue, they can go up whatever they want, but mine's being torn down. Now you go, okay, public property, private property. This is city council idiots. This is what you get when you elect a bunch of communists to the city council. They start tearing things down and pushing for utopia. Versus, this is just a private Hindu thing, and I think it also calmed down because once people see the statue in perspective, I think they're going to get less riled up because a 55-foot Hindu statue, it sounds a lot more imposing than it kind of is. Like, if you were beside it, you go, oh, wow, But people have this missense of scale where they think, oh, 55-foot statue, like you start to go, and as you see the horizon, you see this giant monkey god like towering over the town of Brampton. And where can you go in Brampton to avoid it? It's like, no, it's not 550 feet tall. It's 55 feet tall, right? Which means you won't be able to see it unless like you're near it. And it's not even the tallest thing at that Hindu temple. Like the temple itself is taller than the statue. So I think once people, again, 55 feet tall sounds tall. Like again, people think like, oh, that's like, for better or worse analogy, people think it's like King Kong, right? Like, rummaging down the streets of Brampton, like its size of buildings, like picking them up, throwing them around. And it's like, no, that's not the scale we're talking about. People have a scaling problem, but that's to do with our poor math